What's up, guys? Cwesolo here, and today we are back for another video on how to code in C#. Today we're going to be covering structures. Now, structures are very similar to classes. They're a little different in a few ways, and they can do a lot of the same things. They're pretty cool. You're basically making your own custom data type. That's basically what structures do. That's how they work. But you can put multiple variables in them. You could put functions in them also as well, similar to how you can with classes. But there are a few underlying differences that we will highlight in this video. But before we get to that, be sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so that way you won't miss out on any of my future uploads. And yeah, be sure to just do that. Just get it done. Do it right now. You might as well. You're definitely not going to regret it at all. I assure you, you won't. There's plenty of game dev content coming to this channel, and I assure you, you will not regret it. You should do that. Click that right now. Anyway, let's get into this. So yeah, I'm gonna show you how to do a struct real quick, and we're gonna put some data in it, and we're gonna manipulate it, and we're gonna make a class, a separate class that is gonna represent the same thing as a struct, and I'm gonna show you some key differences between the two. So let's get right into that. All right, so here we are in Visual Studio. I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of my face cam here because it's kind of blocking up some of the code. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and make a structure. So to make a struct, you're gonna simply go ahead and just type in struct. We're gonna call this date, so it's gonna just keep track of today's date. And we're gonna go and make a public int year, public int month, but this cannot be an int because it needs to be a string. And we're gonna go ahead and do a public int day, not string. All right, we're gonna go ahead and make a function. We're gonna do a public void get date, just like that. We're gonna open this up. We're gonna go ahead and do console.writeLine. 2 days, or the date is, and we're gonna go ahead and do that. So we're gonna do plus day just like that. So there's our structure. We have made the date. It's going to keep track of an int year, month in a string, and a day within an int. So pretty simple. To go ahead and make our structure as a variable, we're going to go ahead and do that real quick. So we're going to do date, and we're going to call it today. Just like that, now we have made our structure in our program. We're able to use it. It's going to say, hey, you're going to need a warning down here saying, hey, this is never assigned. It's declared but never used. Well, we're going to use it right now. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do today. Now, similar to how classes, you're going to go ahead and put the dot to get to the data. We're going to set day. Today's date is April 2nd, so we're going to do equal to, just like that. We're going to do today.month equals April, and we're going to do today.year equals 2022, just like that. So there we go. We have our data declared, and we can go ahead and also call this function too. While we're at it, we're going to do today.getDate, just to show that yes, you can indeed use functions in there and run it, and it will all work. Today's date is April 2nd, 2022, just like that. Very cool. I'm going to go ahead and make a class real quick, and we're going to start highlighting the differences between these two and when you may want to use a structure and when you want to use a class, just to differentiate the two between each other. So I'm going to go ahead and write that code out real quick. All right, so as you can see here, we have a class and a structure. You can already kind of see the differences between the two and the way that they're declared. With our date as a structure, we can just declare today. and it has no issues with it. We don't need to use the new declaration or anything like that. We just declare the date, right? It's a variable. It's no different than any other variable. Then, like, it'd be no different than declaring an int or a string or a bool, right? It's no different here. You're just declaring what it is, right? It's just, hey, it's a date. No big deal. As we're the class here, we had to do date too, which is the different version of date. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and rename this and put this down to cdate because it'll stand for class date, and we'll go ahead and do that just so that way we'll go ahead and just do that real quick. Give me one moment. Okay, so now that we've done that, we have class date and date. One's a struct, one's a class. We run them both. We're going to get the same result. I don't know where my console went, but that's cool. Let's try this again. Where did my console go? Hello? There we are. Got it. As you can see, both of them are popping up. The date is April 2nd, 2022. Really no difference. Now, we're going to highlight the differences here. So we're going to make another struct in another instance of the class, right? So we're going to go ahead and do that. Let me code that up for you real quick. All right, so as you can see here, we're going to go over this code real quick. So basically what's going on here is we have date as in a structure declared and a class date declared. We got the dates previously up here, and then we're having new data being passed in. So we have changed that. We have set the days set equal to 5 and 6, and we have reporting the data down here. Let's go ahead and run this and see what happens. So for the first one, we have the date is April 2nd, 2022. For the class, it's April 2nd, 2022. New data, struct difference. For the first one, which is the today, so the original today variable, the date is April 2nd, 2022. But we changed the today copy to 5, right? So we changed it to the 5th. The date is 5 April 2022. As you can see, these two are distinctly separate, and they're both encapsulating their data correctly. Right? This is how this is working. This is fine. We go down to the new data. All right, we have the class version, right? We have April 6, 2022 and April 6, 2022. Wait, but we put the original today in there. What's going on? Well, what's going on is that classes are stored, 1, on the heap, so they're stored in a different area of memory. 2, structures are stored on the stack. That's one key difference between the two. One stored on the stack, one stored on the heap. One is passed around by reference, and the other passes around copies of itself. One works like a data type, one works like an object. That's the difference. So let's go back to the code here. When you set this equal to here, right, we have today copy set to today. We're making a copy of the data that is in today, right, into the copy of it, right? We have a separate structure that we just made here, right, that is encapsulating the same data that is in today, right? When we do the same thing with the class, though, we're really just making a reference to the original class today. So class today copy is not really copying the data. We're simply just taking a reference from the original class today and just saying, hey, this class is just pointing to this other class here. This is what we're referring to. So when we change that data here in the copy of the class version, we're really changing the original. We're not making a new version, right? If you wanted a new date to be kept track of, you would have to make the new declaration and you'd have to make a new class for that, right? If you wanted this to be distinctly separate, you would need to do new, not namespace. You need to do new cdate, just like that. And you'd need to have the parentheses. And then they would be separate. But since we are setting this equal to the original, we are just simply referencing the original here. That is the key difference between structures and classes. One, you can, if you're going to make a copy of it, you can make a copy of it just like you would a normal data type. Classes are objects, and they will simply pass around references if you set something equal to it. That is the difference. So, now for the real conversation. Now that we know the differences between the two, and we know that they're very similar in many, many ways, when will I use a class and when should I use a struct? Well, it's really up to you. They're both very similar, and they basically can both achieve the same things, except one's an object and one acts like a data type. That's the key difference, and it's really up to you when you want to use them. Really, my rule of thumb, personally, is I will use a structure when it's just encapsulating data. If I need to make a complex data type, that's when I'll use a struct instead of a class. Reason why is because I don't have to deal with making a new class and then doing all this other stuff to make sure that it just works. If I need to copy it, I can just copy it, and it's not going to affect the original. It is just a complex data type. That's when I use structures. When you are just storing raw data, that's it, nothing else, no functionality to it, that's when you use a struct. When you're going to be doing more with that data and you're going to be manipulating it with functions and all this stuff, then you're going to want to use a class. So that's when you'll want to use a class, is when you're actually going to be manipulating the data and needing it to represent something, right? Like the student class. They're each individual instances of a student. We're manipulating the data. We're changing things. That is an example of when to use a class over a structure. We could use a structure for the student, right? We could store that data all in there, and we could manipulate it using methods or functions. They're the same thing. Using a structure. Because as you can see here in the code, we have a method, right? A function right here in the structure, just like we would a class. But like I said, even though you can do this, personal rule of thumb, use a structure when it is encapsulating data and you're just using it as a complex data type like we are here. In the case of today, in the date class, or in the date structure, in this case, if you're representing, say, a date, I would use a struct over a class. It just makes more sense that way. It is just a complex data type. That's all it is. It's housing multiple data types within itself to represent something, where a class is more complicated than that. As you can see here with the main differences, one passes around by reference, the other makes copies. That's the difference. So yeah, if you liked the video, leave a like. If you found it helpful, be sure to hit that subscribe button and stuff, do all this stuff down below. If you have any questions, leave a comment. I am willing to answer any questions you may have about structures and classes and the differences between the two. If you have any questions regarding that, please do ask. I know they're very similar, and you may still be confused as to when to use one or the other. Really, it's up to you. They work very similarly. As you work with them more, you will understand when to use one over the other. But I just wanted to highlight the differences between the two and maybe the advantages of using a struct over a class or a class over a struct. There are several reasons why you may want to choose one over the other for a given thing that you're doing in code. Anyway, guys, I'll see you guys in the next video. Hope you have a great day, and peace out. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, whatever you got to do. And yeah, if you want to go check out my other How to Code in C# videos, I'll have a card up in the top right corner to the playlist. If you missed out on, say, something, you can go up there and check that out. And if you'd like to go watch other game development videos, I'll also have on the card, on the end screen here, we'll have just whatever. It'll pop up. I don't know what I'm going to be putting there. Haven't found out yet. I got to go edit this video. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out. Have a great day. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a great day.